Hello, everyone. I'm hoping each and every one of you is keeping safe, well, and healthy during this complex time. My name is Melissa Ann Cobbler. I am the Local Wellness Advisor in the Faculty of Science. Welcome to another series of Helping Others. Today, we're going to talk about setting boundaries. And I know that my awesome colleagues, MP and Shannon, took you through recognizing distress and identifying ways that you could help a friend who's in distress. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. Just bear with me as I share my screen here. There we go. So, part 3, setting boundaries. I will give everyone a quick forewarning. I can trip over my words. I can ramble just a little bit when I come across something that I feel very passionate about. So if you see me in that loop, just say, it's Melissa, accept me as I am. And I will do my best, of course, to be as clear and concise during this presentation. So an important first is to offer a territory acknowledgement. And I just would like to state that McGill University is on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe Nations, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. And I always like to extend this acknowledgement and state that I hope each and every one of us, and I include myself in this, of course, can continue to respect our connections with the Indigenous community, and importantly, that we could commit to practicing decolonization as a process of our lifelong learning. So as I said earlier, the goals of the series is first to recognize distress in others. If you have not come across that, it is up and available. If you wish to learn more about that topic, we looked at identifying steps you could take to help a friend in distress. And today we're going to discover ways to set boundaries when helping others. So I'm hoping after this presentation, you leave with an understanding of what it means to set boundaries, and you're better able to describe those boundaries. You're able to identify why it is important to set boundaries in your life. And you're better able to explain to others what appropriate boundaries look like, and importantly, see, I already started, what appropriate boundaries look like to you. So the question, what it means to set boundaries. Psychology Today, which is a well-known mental health magazine, defines boundaries as the limits we set with other people, which indicate what we find acceptable and unacceptable in their behavior towards us. And I'm going to repeat that again. Boundaries are defined as the limits we set with other people, which indicate to them what we find acceptable and unacceptable in their behavior towards us. So, respecting your limits when it comes to work, friendships, family, or relationships also truly entails understanding what approaches make you feel the most safe. That's the first step. And I would also ask you to just sit and notice whether you're engaging with a loved one or a family member or a friend, of course, what feelings may come up for you when you're speaking to that friend or loved one. Are you feeling tension? Are you feeling stress? Are you feeling at ease? What unspoken expectations, assumptions, or roles might be played out without any discussion, right? So do you find yourself offering much more support to others and these individuals taking much more of your support? Just really sit and notice that. Because if that's the case, that you are disregarding your own intuitive feelings, then that possibly and most likely means that you need to set clearer boundaries. And also, I would ask that you really speak from your own experiences in order for you to really express what boundaries people should not be crossing or should not cross. So the value of boundaries, again, a very important topic that really entails 3 basic but also 3 universal needs. which is for all of us to feel seen, to be heard, and to be connected, right? When you feel safe and able to mirror what your boundaries look like, that's a really important piece to establishing trust. And also, it allows your friends to see that they also have the permission to do the same, right? So when you're able to practice taking care of yourself by saying, hey, I only have about an hour for us to talk because I have to do X, Y, and Z, and you're able to demonstrate what you need in a caring way to your friend or loved one, then that gives them really good intel to know that they could do the same. I'm hoping I'm not going to butcher this word, but also the value of boundaries really helps with decatastrophizing situations, which really means it helps your friend minimize their black and white thinking or thinking the worst of others. If somebody has reached out a lot of the times for support and people have not been able to give that or have not been clear around their boundaries, then that could maybe leave them feeling or thinking that nobody's really able to offer support, which is not the case. You could really, again, show them how to offer your care in in a way where, again, you are respecting yourself and you're also respecting them. So I would say note that sharing warmth while respecting your limits can have impact. You could be the container for your loved one or your friend, but that does not mean that you become the only person who is available to your friend when they are in need, right? So the most powerful action often has little to do with the details of a friend's story and more to deal with their need, again, to feel seen, heard, and connected. So staying as present as possible is key. And holding space for your friend by validating their need for support could also mean that if you're not able to offer everything that they're asking for, you could link them up to specific resources. And especially during this time, I would really encourage all of you to look to the Student Wellness Hub as a place for additional resources um, to deal with connecting to others, looking at stress, reflecting on anxiety, anything possible to really help you with sustaining your overall well being. And last comment I'm going to say around the value of boundaries is the value of boundaries also rest in the practice of consent, right? So hold on to that as well whenever you are offering support to a loved one or a friend. So, Rupi Kaur, who is an Indian born, Canadian based poet, illustrator, and author, really offers us this great quote that a lot of times we are angry at other people for not doing what we should have done for ourselves. Nidra Glover Tawwab, who's an African American therapist, also offers a quote that the presence or lack of boundaries determines your quality of life. And I really resonate with this quote from Nidra. So, building responsibility could look like acting possibly as an accountability buddy. So, your friend understands that articulating their needs really starts, of course, with them. They need to take responsibility for that. And if they want to create some type of personal care plan, they need to participate in creating that self care plan. So perhaps having a communal agreement could easily allow you to stay in the moment of speaking from your own experience and honoring your own needs. And if you feel that holding space for your friend might become too challenging, again, know that offering resources might be a really helpful and important step. I would also ask that when you're building responsibility or in the essence of building responsibility with your loved one, to really lean into the teacher and student role. And what I mean by that is, as much as you might be helping a friend in need and offering them support, consider that they might also be helping you in some way. So Mina B, who is a clinical social worker based in New York, really put together this great presentation around, establishing boundaries. And she put together some reflective questions that I wanted to offer all of you. And some questions could be, or some questions are actually, how do others in your life gain from enforcing your boundaries? How do I gain from enforcing boundaries with others? What is one small intentional act that I could practice daily to implement boundaries? What is the scariest thing I think will happen if I protect myself, my space, and my mental well being by demonstrating boundaries? So I think I might have tripped up on the first question. I'm going to read it again. How do others in my life gain from me enforcing boundaries? How do I gain from enforcing boundaries with others? What is one small intentional act that I could practice daily to implement boundaries? What is the scariest thing I think will happen if I protect myself, my space, and my mental well being by demonstrating boundaries? So hold on to these questions and know that you could also be an accountability for yourself when you're realizing that you're maybe offering too much and not offering enough space and time for yourself. So, healthy boundaries. What does healthy boundaries look like? Again, Nidra Glover Tawwab, who, if you follow her on any of her social media handles, she couches herself as the boundary queen. But she really offered some really great tips on what healthy and unhealthy boundaries look like. And when we're thinking of what healthy boundaries look like, I would say healthy boundaries are when you are able to establish your limits, understand the value of boundaries, and build a sense of responsibility that could allow you, importantly, to have and build an interdependent connection, which is really a connection that makes you as a person feel free, liberated, and where with your friend or your loved one, the essence of the relationship is mutually supportive. So healthy boundaries really promotes a safe space for mutual evolution. It offers an awareness that needs cannot be met through one person. I think that's a really important point to highlight. Healthy boundaries also offer safety and comfort in accepting that a friend or a loved one cannot meet every need, right? If you're on the receiving end of that. Healthy boundaries prioritize self-help and help, self-care, self-help too, but it prioritizes self-care and personal autonomy, right? Again, you feel much more lighter and free when you're able to set up healthy boundaries with your friend. And healthy boundaries really encourage healthy self-expression. Unhealthy boundaries, on the other hand, I feel is the opposite of interdependent relationships. It's codependent a lot of the times, and it can make you feel somewhat heavy or stuck when you are practicing unhealthy boundaries. You should be able to feel open to shift in your friendships and relationships. And if a friend seems to become upset that you might be availing yourself to others, then I would really sit with that and really kind of question what that might be all about. So unhealthy boundaries could feel or could bring up feelings of guilt or shame for wanting to spend time or to do something outside of your relationship or friendship. Unhealthy boundaries could be a dynamic where there is a desire to control each other's emotional state, interest, or interactions with others. This is really important. When you start to fear that you can't say no, or that you do not have the permission to say no to a loved one or a friend, there is definitely something in that relationship that you need to reflect on and take stock of. There could be some unhealthy boundaries that already exist that you might want to reflect on. Unhealthy boundaries might also allow for harmful behaviors to persist, because you are in a loving relationship, or because you are BFFs or still friends. You may not want to necessarily call in, not call out, but call in that friend, or that loved one, based on, you know maybe some unspoken rules, or not having set up clear boundaries beforehand. And unhealthy boundaries could lead to people expecting others to hold all the responsibility for their needs and feelings. And when that individual is not able to come through, then afterwards, some feelings of resentment might come up. So I'm hoping I was clear on this slide. Lastly, if you feel, again, that you're able to really set clear boundaries with your friend, that you are able to offer as much as you can, but they may need more support and help, then you could really sit in building some kind of collaborative plan with your friend, or encourage them to really look at what are some of the personal triggers or life stressors that might make it challenging for them to maintain their wellness. They could set up a daily, weekly, biweekly, or monthly schedule of wellness activities that may help them really create a work life or school life balance. You can encourage your friend through a collaborative approach to really reflect on their progress and challenges, and to also hold themselves accountable and responsible for seeing that plan come through. And you could also encourage your friend to really reflect on what coping skills may be helpful for them, and also to look to what support networks have really been open and helpful to them. And I absolutely love this quote by Prentice Hemphill, who's a somatics teacher and counselor based in the US. And their quote is, "Boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously." And that really resonates with me, only because you really can't feed others until you feed yourself. You really can't show tenderness, care, and compassion to others until you show that tenderness, care, and compassion to yourself. So I want all of you to hopefully sit in that as we're coming to the end of our series on setting boundaries. If you have any questions, I absolutely ask you to please jot those questions down. Myself and MP, who offered the first series on recognizing distress, will be offering online some Q&A sessions around the Helping Others series. So I really would encourage you to just sit with whatever came up for you in today's series, and yeah, and throw those questions at us, and we're going to do our best to offer really great and supportive answers. So I thank each and every one of you. I'm hoping that you all will just continue to keep healthy and hopeful during this time. And wherever you are, I'm hoping that you're having a nice, easy, and restful day. So I'll talk to you soon, and be well.